The Earth has been around for over 4 billion years, and as a result has seen a good deal of change. Wildlife has come and gone in waves, including a recognized 5 mass extinctions. 444 million years ago at the end of the Ordovician era, then 375 million years ago at the end of the Devonian era, then 251 million years ago at the end of the Permian era, then 200 million years ago at the end of the Triassic era, and finally 66 million years ago at the end of the Cretaceous era. Each saw losses of at least 75% of wildlife from the planet. Yet all these past mass extinctions lacked one common denominator. A denominator which is more impactful today than ever before: humans. We arrived on this planet in the form of Homo sapiens around 300,000 years ago. But for the longest time, humans were nothing special. For hundreds of thousands of years, there were at most 250,000 people on the planet, as we were no different than any other animal. But around 2000 BC, something clicked, and some early human civilizations began to thrive. As medicine, hygiene, and nutrition all began to improve, so did science, language, and architecture. People started to learn more and more every generation, leaving the past in the dust. By the Renaissance, the population of the planet was at about 500,000,000, the largest it had ever been. Ever since then, however, the Earth has been forever changed and the population has skyrocketed up to now nearly 8 billion, more than doubling in just the past 50 years. This intense growth of humans has caused immense stress to our once unbreakable planet and the wildlife on it. Rapid and unforgiving urbanization, introduction of invasive species, global warming, overfishing and hunting, air and water pollution, massive landfills, war and destruction, forest fires, natural resource mining. The harm which humans are doing to the earth is astonishing. For the longest time, nobody saw what humans were doing as an issue. The earth was so big and we were so small. How could anything any one person does matter in the big picture? Billions of people had been faced with this question as they continued to do what they did, little by little, step by step, destroying our planet. As a result, today many scientists accept that we are in the midst of the Earth's 6th mass extinction. Let's shift our focus to birds. Birds are some of the planet's most beautiful creatures. They come in seemingly every shape and size and are found all across the globe. As such, tracking bird populations has become a great way to measure the effects of human influence over the ecosystem. Extinctions per million species per year is a tool used for measurement of wildlife extinction rates. It is accepted that the rate of 1 to 5 extinctions per million species per year is the standard norm without human influence. Yet with human influence added to the mix, we have been seeing the number rise to as high as 1,000 extinctions per million species per year in some estimates. That is 1,000 times the natural norm. The continuingly rising extinction rates coincides directly with the explosion of technology. In 1994, a survey was performed with the goal of finding out how much of a person's day was spent outdoors. Several thousand people were sampled to find only 7% of an average day was spent outside. This was back in 1994. 25 years later, the technology landscape is now entirely different. Along with the entertaining time wasters that is the internet, video games, and watching television, people now have more reason to stay indoors. Other potential factors such as a greater increase in academic focus, the need to work longer days, and the poor quality of certain neighborhoods may also be pushing people back inside. It has been said that stillness is the most powerful case for misery. Whether people realize it or not, this indoor lifestyle is where the human disconnect with nature grows. People do not understand or acknowledge environmental issues because they are not actively affected by them. The birds which live outside do not affect my individual life. I have bigger things to worry about. And even if I do truly understand the problems in my environment, how am I supposed to make a difference? Recycling, driving less, and using reusable bags and straws have been preached a million times. But there is something which not only makes the ecological impact needed for birds, but also does some good to each person as an individual. This is bird feeders. The value of bird feeders cannot be understated. It is amazing how such a simple addition to any porch or lawn can make such a profound impact. A 2015 study by Wilcoxon et al. Performed on the wild birds in a forest within Illinois tackled this eco-friendly idea. They wanted to see what the actual effects that bird feeders had on local wild bird populations. Over 4 years, they found that when bird feeders were present, wild birds exhibited increased antioxidant levels, reduced stress, and more rapid feather growth, as well as certain species also showing improved body condition index scores and innate immune defense. In simplest terms, this means bird feeders had beneficial effects to wild bird populations. This makes sense. More easily accessible and safe food locations should result in more well-fed and healthy birds. So simple, yet how many bird feeders do you actually see today? Let's look beyond the birds. Though the support for feeders being beneficial to nature can be measured quantitatively, there is more good to be done by their presence, which ties back to the problem of technology pulling people away from nature. In 2016, Cox and Gaston investigated the effects of birdwatching on everyday people. They found that those who fed and observed birds regularly felt more relaxed and connected to nature, as they perceived what they were doing as beneficial to the ecosystem. Accompanying this, a Korean study in 2012 states that this common feeling which accompanies nature watching is thought to be therapeutic for those involved, along with providing healthy and safe food source for the birds. So bird feeders have been shown to be good not only for the birds themselves, but also for the people who maintain or simply observe them. This sounds like a great idea. Where do I begin? Well, the background which you should do before you pick a bird feeder is simple. What sort of birds are you looking to feed? And are you going to need something to deter food thieves such as squirrels and raccoons? Hummingbird feeders are unique from traditional feeders, as they are designed to be fed on in a certain way. But traditional feeders, which usually house seeds, nuts, and maybe even berries, are the right choice for just about every other type of bird. You want your feeder somewhere visible, but your pet dog or cat won't be able to reach. Also, keep in mind it must be somewhere that wild animals won't be getting to it either. This could be hung from a porch cover, or on its own stand somewhere in the yard. Birds won't frequent a feeder if they do not feel safe. Make sure to tend your feeder weekly, refill as needed, and perform complete cleans monthly. And that's it. If you are able to either buy or make a feeder and add it to your yard, then congratulations. You have made a step in the right direction to both saving the birds as well as yourself. Of course, there is much more which could be done. Other yard additions which can also be beneficial to wild birds are bird houses and bird baths. But beyond the yard, as stated earlier, behavioral changes such as recycling, using your car less, and using reusable goods as opposed to one-use items does have a massive positive impact on the world, especially the birds. Just because you can't see it does not mean it isn't there. I hope those of you who remained watching this far learned something new and just may make a change in your life in a way which will help not only the birds, but the ecosystem as well. We, as a society, have a long way to go if we want to restore the earth to anything close to what it once was. But these small steps are the steps which must be taken to move in the right direction.